series is tied up. Game 1 and Game 2 have been so close. Pitchers duels all the way. But the big question is will the offenses be able to make adjustments?
Well, for Jaden Pone, the answer will be yes, because she's 4 for 8 this weekend, inserted into the leadoff spot in Coach Jamie Traxel's batting order.
Yeah, Jaden Pone, she is having a great series, and she's doing it all on all facets of the game. The diving catch, legging hits out, and also hitting singles.
4 for 8 over the weekend. The 4 knocks for Jaden Pone, now batting leadoff for the Ole Miss Rebels. Meanwhile, for South Carolina, Monica, you were one of the best pitchers that we've ever seen in college softball and beyond. We've had 2 dynamic hurlers in the circles for Carolina.
Absolutely, but the duo of Sam Gress and Jory Hurd for South Carolina has been absolutely phenomenal from this circle. They complement each other so well and are splitting games at times to help put South Carolina defense in a position to win ball games.
Yeah, you take a look at the numbers. Jory Hurd threw 1 pitch Friday night in a Game 1 extra inning victory. Got the win. We'll see her in the circle to start today, and we could see more of Sam Gress, who has been tremendous in her own right up to this point this season, and especially this weekend. Rebels lineup looks like this. Pone, Butte, Benford will lead things off. And Ole Miss scratching across 2 runs yesterday after being shut out 1-0 on Friday in Game 1. Yamas, Brady, Pickens. Brady, one of the top sluggers in the game. Currently the top 10 of the SEC in home runs with 12, and on pace, Monica, to break the single season record for home runs by an Ole Miss player.
Yeah, Lexi Brady's been having a phenomenal senior career, really a record year, has been able to up all her numbers, not only batting average, but her home runs, her RBIs, her walks. She's definitely a force for the Ole Miss lineup, and she leads them offensively. If Lexi goes, Ole Miss offense goes.
Pone digs in, just about set, ready to go for Game 3. It is a very big day in the capital city of South Carolina, not only here, but the national championship game underway as well between Dawn Staley's Gamecocks and UConn. Jory Hurd in the circle. You see Illinois native and her numbers. What do you like about what she brings to the table in terms of scouting and what she's accomplished this year?
Yeah, Jory Hurd has just taken on a bigger role this year. The junior, she was a role pitcher last year, but been able to get a lot more innings for South Carolina, which has really allowed her to show the team what she's made of, coming through in clutch situations. Now, she does give up some hits, but she's a competitor out there, and she's not necessarily going to strike out a lot of people, but she's going to use her defense well. Ground balls, fly balls, and she likes to work fast.
Illinois native, Huntley High School is Hurd. Through the 11th perfect game in school history. Early in her career, Pone hit hard to deep center field. That'll bounce off the wall with 1 hop. And Pone, a leadoff double. And Ole Miss, a great start on the road.
Jaden Pone, we talked about her in the open. Really short and compact swing, gets barrel to the ball on this elevated pitch all the way to the wall and able to leg out to a double. Good job by Quincy Lilo getting the ball in to second base.
4th double of the season for number 6 in red for the Ole Miss Rebels. And here comes Lair Butte, 1 for 7 this weekend. And Butte fouls it straight back. Mentioned the scouting report for Jory Hurd.
Yeah, here's Jory Hurd. So what makes her successful? Well, Jory Hurd, she can bring it out there. She can even hit 70 miles per hour at times, but you'll see her mostly in that 67 miles per hour. But the thing that makes her successful is she has great arm side run. Now, what does that mean? It means that she throws a 2-seam fastball across her body, inside to lefties, outside to righties. A lot of people think it's a curve, but it is a 2-seam fastball, which can have a little late break on it. It can angle up a little bit, it can angle down a little bit, and that is really her bread and butter. She also does have a pretty decent changeup to keep hitters off balance.
We've seen the changeup at times this weekend be instrumental for both sides. The 0-2 smacked into right field. That'll drop and roll all the way to the wall. Jaden Pone will be waved around, and just like that, it is 1-0 Rebels.
The Rebels coming out swinging a hot bat, back-to-back doubles. Just a great piece of hitting by Lair Boutte. This inside two-seam fastball, she's able to pull that ball down the right field line, but notice how far Abigail Knight is playing in the right center gap. This allows Lair Boutte to easily take second base and get the first run on the board for Ole Miss.
Scoring early, something we have not seen in this series, as Benford sends it to shallow center for the first out.
Now, I like to see how aggressive Ole Miss has been in game threes of a tied series. Oftentimes it's a dogfight. It can be a real battle offensively. It can also be a real battle defensively. Every pitch matters, and sometimes the more aggressive team wins. So it's good to see this Ole Miss offense not hesitating, going up there, being aggressive early in the count against Jory Hurd.
Percy Yamas, a freshman, Eastvale, California, two-way player. Go back to her enormous hit against Clemson early in the season. Really helped set the table for a sensational first campaign in Oxford. Ball and a strike to count. One away, 1-0 our score. Just underway in Columbia. And Yamas fouls it straight back. It's 1-2.
Yeah, Percy Yamas is one of seven new freshmen on the Ole Miss team. Oh, excuse me, it's 8 new freshmen for Ole Miss coming in. And Coach Traxel mentioned when she was recruiting these freshmen, we brought them in to help change this program, to help turn it around. And I think from last year to this year, we see Ole Miss higher up in the polls, currently ranked around the 21. These freshmen are definitely having an impact on the program this year for Ole Miss.
Your 5 for Jamie Traxel. That one's fouled at the top of the netting. Still 1-2, make it 2-2 now. New staff, 8 new transfers, 8 first-year players in Oxford this year, and the results, well, they've been tremendous already. 29 wins overall in positioning for postseason play, just like every other team in the conference right now, of course. But
yeah, I think with Ole Miss as well, you got to look at, they brought in a brand new staff, 3 new assistant coaches. So just a different vibe for the Ole Miss Rebels. You have Coach Bobby Buchanan, Aaron Earlywine, and Nancy Evans.
Grounded to second. And advancing to third on the play will be Boutte. Out number 2 as Yamas is retired. Not easy to do with so many new faces to win right away, players and coaches.
Yeah, it's really not. I think in getting everyone on the same page, and you know, you still have your select returners. You have some seniors, some people that have been with the program and been with Coach Traxel through all these different coaching changes, and adjusting to being outnumbered. Basically, the veterans are outnumbered by the new faces.
Lexi Brady fouls out to left field. A running grab by Vincent. Ole Miss on the board first after back-to-back doubles. Carolina late in that game, and let's see what she does today facing this extremely explosive top of the Carolina batting order. 1-0 our score, and Quincy Lelio will lead things off. And Monica, all she's done this weekend is go 3 for 5, and it seems like she has lived at first base.
Yeah, I mean, Quincy Lelio, how impressive her on-base percentage. She just finds ways to get on base. She works the count. She doesn't take a pitch off. A 566 on-base percentage. Like, that is incredible. She's currently 6th in the SEC, and whether it's a hit by pitch, it's a walk, she battles for a walk, she bloops one in, and then every now and again you'll see her hitting balls to the wall and home runs. So it's just really fun to see her compete pitch to pitch. And although on-base percentage isn't something that we often think about, you know, that are so fun and the big highlights with home runs, but on-base percentage is such an important stat to help turn over the lineup.
Oklahoma transfer on the outside corner. It's 1-2. Native of Oceanside, California, Great Oak High School. 41 games at OU in Norman, of course, part of that national championship marathon they've been on. Uchenyo will step out for a moment and now back in. Served over to short, and that was caught cleanly right over the top of the infield dirt for out number 1. And Ryan Starr's made a handful of plays like that this weekend. That is another.
Yeah, really good job by Ryan Starr here. A laser of a line drive hit right at her, but as it's dying, she drops a knee and is able to get her glove under the ball to secure the catch.
Here's Ari Rode, has moved up into the 2-hole. What do you like about Uchenyo in the circle?
Well, Miley Uchenyo, she's done so well this year, and we still have a lot of softball left to play, but something that's kind of fun about her right now, 151 strikeouts, leading the SEC, or should I say going back and forth with Tennessee's ace, Carlin Pickens, depending on when your games were played on the weekend, if you were a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or you had a double header. For the last several weeks in the SEC, they've been going back and forth on who's going to lead the SEC with the most strikeouts.
A lot of talent there between those two pitchers. Inside out swing that lands in right field, and the first hit of the weekend for Ari Rode. She's been walked 4 times, and a yell of encouragement back towards the South Carolina dugout. Gamecocks' first hit.
Really good job by Ariana Rode. This ball just floats to the middle, but able to take it opposite field here. This is big for Ariana Rode, as she has been a key component to the South Carolina offense and to get them started after giving up the 1 run in the top of the first.
On-base streak continues for Ari Rode, the Charlotte transfer. Outside ball 1 to Carly Shelton, who shifts down a spot as Rode moves up.
Yeah, I think this is a really good decision by Coach Ashley Chastain-Woodard. Moving Ariana Rode up, she's been getting a lot of walks. People are starting to know how much of an offensive threat she is.
Up the middle into center field. Back-to-back knocks for Carolina.
But Carly Shelton, she can do a better job protecting Ariana Rode with things like that and making offensive contagious. Here's Carly Shelton. Nothing too fancy here, just getting the barrel to the ball, hit it right back where it came from. And South Carolina working with 2 on.
Shelton, a 3-year varsity player at Lexington High School. Graduated early, and it was interesting talking with Ashley Chastain-Woodard, the Carolina head coach, this week. And she said this is like her freshman 2.0 season, after struggling at times a year ago.
Yeah, we've seen a few people graduate high school early and join the college ranks after a year early or half a year early. And sometimes it's not just the skill, right? It's the maturity level. It's the game sense, the game knowledge, the adjustment to people that have been training in weights and conditioning and in softball at the collegiate level versus the club level.
Pitch in the dirt, throw to third, not in time. Both runners advance. Well, the wild pitch has Carolina in business here in the home half of the first inning. And a big cut by Abigail Knight. It's a ball and 2 strikes. Shelton now at second, Rode at third base for South Carolina. Knight 0 for 4 this weekend, has been walked 3 times, and all these great pitching duels we've encountered through the first 2 games. And Knight able to hold off on the swing.
Yeah, that's a good hold by Abigail Knight there, especially with 2 strikes. Miley Wacheño, she wants you to swing at balls outside of the zone. That's how she's getting a lot of strikeouts. So plate discipline is very important in this game for South Carolina.
Full count. The delivery for Wacheño, to me, is interesting, and how she comes set and then delivers the pitch. As a hitter, that's got to be somewhat distracting as you try to establish your rhythm and timing.
Yeah, you know, she comes into her set, and then she rotates back for a really good weight transfer, a really strong lean back. And it looks like she wanted that pitch. Looks like a screwball on the outside corner, just off the plate. Let's take a look at it again. Miley Wacheño trying to go for the low zone. It cuts through the strike zone, middle to out, but I think it's just a little bit too far.
Big opportunity in game 3. Bases are loaded. South Carolina trailing Ole Miss 1-0. Here's Ella Chansey. And Brady had to do everything she could to block that pitch from getting past her.
Miley Wacheño, she's been so successful this year, but at times when we've seen her struggle, she's struggled with getting her changeup on time, which is the one that just bounced in.
That hit her, or did it touch the bat?
I think they're gonna probably keep her in the box. It looks like Chansey turned into it, maybe tried to start her swing there.
I thought maybe it hit the very end of the bat.
Yeah, the knob of the bat.
And Ashley Chastain Woodard wants to know. And now they're going to have a conversation about it. Home plate umpire Chelsea Clark. Over at first is Jacob Agee, and then Lyndon Baptiste, the third base umpire. It did make a robust sound as it hit in the hand bat area, where it sounded like it contacted the bat.
Yeah, you know, and I like...
The ruling on the field is a foul ball. South Carolina is challenging that ruling. The play is under review.
I would think if the ball did hit her in the hand, she wouldn't have taken off so quickly, right? Like, you gotta have a little bit of drama. I hate it when hitters do it, but you think, well, ooh.
There's no immediate flinch of pain or any kind of discomfort. That kind of gives it away.
Yeah, she did. The bat doesn't fly out of her hands at all.
The sound of it as well. I don't know how much sound becomes a factor on replay. Well, the Hawkeye look will tell you, and I think confirm what we are suspecting. It grazed the bat as opposed to the actual hand. Yes.
Yeah, from the Hawkeye, 120 clips per second. How incredible is that technology that we have to see that in?
After review, the call is upheld. Foul ball, counts 1-1.
I think Miley Wacheño got a little bit lucky here that she did hit the bat, but also very lucky that it wasn't a hit by pitch. But can she settle back? And we've seen her do some incredible things, but we've also seen her struggle a little bit with control at times.
Yeah, the walks, something you were told pregame to keep an eye on to see how quickly Ole Miss would rely on its bullpen today. Ella Chansey was in this same situation yesterday in game 2 with the bases loaded and hit into a double play. The 1-2-3 variety, right back to the circle. Big moment here, 1-2. Fought off, foul territory, and off the top of the netting.
Yeah, I think Ella Chansey coming up again in bases loaded situation, trying to stay mentally focused, trying to have a little bit of a better at bat, put a better swing on a pitch.
And the 1-2 fought off again. Foul territory right in front of the South Carolina dugout. And a great play made by Yamas at first base. Leaned right against the railing and the netting for out number 2.
Wow, Percy Yamas, really good job finding the fence first. It even looks like she pushes that net back a little bit. A small jump to make sure she secures that fly ball and secure the second out of the inning.
2 away for Lexi Winters. Bases remain loaded, and a first pitch settles in low for ball 1. Winters 1 for 6 in these 2 games and hitting .311 this year. Lexington, South Carolina native, White Knoll High School, part of the caravan that came down Interstate 77 from Charlotte, along with their head coach, Ashley Chastain Woodard. And the 1-0 hit hard, deep left field, all the way back off the top of the wall. Rhodey touches home plate, Shelton behind her, and Carolina with a lead at 2-1. Big time AB for the hard-hitting catcher, Lexi Winters.
Lexi Winters, 30-plus RBIs on the season. Now, this ball's low, but that doesn't stop her. She goes down and gets it and drives it deep into left field. This is South Carolina's first extra base hit of the series.
Well, Jaden Pone started drifting back in left field, and judging by her reaction, she's gotten to everything we've seen hit that direction this weekend. You knew that had a chance to leave the ballpark right there.
Yeah, I think everyone was holding their breath there. Is it going to go out or not? Jaden Pone in left field, though, she did do a good job playing the fence, taking it off the one hop. And it was lucky for Miley Wachenio that that ball did not go out. I think that we will probably see a pitching change here, especially since Miley wasn't able to get the control that she needed.
Indeed we will. We'll step aside in Columbia. 2-1 Gamecocks leading Ole Miss. Still at second and third. And the new Ole Miss pitcher, Brianna Lopez, senior from Riverside, Cali.
Yeah, Brianna Lopez, she's one of the few returners on the Ole Miss staff. She's been here all 4 years. The lefty coming in to try to break up some momentum and get Ole Miss back on track.
Opportunity for Brooke Blankenship. On the outside corner, it's 0-1. Brooke 1 for 4 this weekend, a senior from Hudson, Florida. Hitting .301, does have the 1 home run. Florida State transfer. And she takes outside to even the count.
Okay.
Abigail Knight at third, Winters at second. After driving in 2 runs off the top of the wall, it's a ball and 2 strikes. Well, an exciting start here in our first inning after 4 combined runs between the 2 teams in the first 2 games here in Columbia this weekend.
Yeah, the offenses are off to a fast start, and Blankenship definitely does it there.
The blooper down the right field line. 2 more runs are in, and Blankenship comes through in the clutch. 4-1 Gamecocks.
Just stay short to it, keep your hands up, and get at least a little piece of it. Brooke Blankenship's able to do all that and drop it into right field.
Welcome to Columbia, South Carolina. It is the rubber match between the Gamecocks and the Ole Miss Rebels, in fireworks galore here in our first inning. Monica Abbott, Roy Philpott, sunny skies. And a brief breeze out of the west, not impacting this game so far, but Carolina hitters certainly have made an impact. And you are joining us at the right time. A double by Lexi Winters, drove in 2 moments ago, and then Brooke Blankenship with a bloop single down the right field line. And just like that, it's 4-1. Carolina leading Ole Miss here at Carolina Softball Park.
Yeah, it's been a exciting first inning, lots of hits. And I would just say both offenses, they're just being very, very aggressive right now in their at-bats. The first good pitch they see, they're swinging at it. But the difference maker really is the free passes that Miley Wichenio gave up before Brianna Lopez entered this game with 2 outs.
Wichenio, one of the top pitchers in the SEC, just her first season in Oxford. And currently in the Ole Miss dugout with Lopez in the circle. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Natalie Heath. It's 1-0 Friday night in game 1. A South Carolina win in 8 innings. 2-1 Ole Miss victory yesterday in game 2. Runs have been extremely hard to come by. And so many pressure-packed moments through the first 2 contests. Served to short, and the force out at second for Ryan Starr to retire the side. 4-1 our score, top of the second, coming up next in Columbia. Wichenio out, Lopez in, and Blankenship drives in 2 more.
Yeah, and here we sit at 4-1 in the top of the second. Now the question is, can Ole Miss's offense respond, or will Jory Hurd be able to shut them down? When you have this back and forth aggressive offensive approach, it's a mindset for hitters. They go in there ready to attack. First pitch, second pitch, the first strike they see, and it really becomes a battle of changing the offensive momentum as a pitcher.
Here's Mackenzie Pickens, a freshman from Flowery Branch. And 2-0 the count. He's earned that starting second base role. Fly ball to straightaway center, easy play for Quincy Lelio. And there's 1 away. That wind blowing in, we mentioned earlier, the sun is peeking through this heavy cloud cover. Some cumulus clouds out there, the rain dancing off towards our west, and I want to keep that in that direction over towards Georgia if we can, Monica, at all costs.
Yeah, but perfect weather down on the softball field right now. A little bit of a slight breeze.
De Leon pops it up into shallow right. Easy play for Carly Shelton. Well, that is a pitcher's best friend. A couple of quick outs on some lazy pop flies, right?
Absolutely.
Monica Abbott, Roy Philpott here in Columbia. That'll bring up Ryan Starr. Officially 0 for 1 this weekend set. Junior out of Long Island. We've talked about a number of players from the Northeast in this series this weekend. Ari Rhodey, Rhode Island, the Ocean State. Ryan Starr, New York, the Empire State. Not often you see that in the SEC.
Jory Hurd's doing a good job after South Carolina was able to put up a 4 spot, but getting ahead of hitters, and look at that.
Blankenship in time delivers a strike. And put a star by that one for Brooke Blankenship. Incredible range and the accuracy with 2 outs to end the frame, and a 1-2-3 inning for Jory Hurd in the circle for Carolina. Columbia back here in the Midlands of South Carolina. And so glad you could join us for this critical game 3 between Ole Miss and the Gamecocks. Another top 20 showdown in the rough and rugged SEC. Monica Abbott, Roy Philpott. Gamecocks with a 4-1 lead. And Emily Vincent will lead things off for Carolina. It'll be 9-1-2 as Vincent bunts that one foul.
Now, good job by Vincent. Just telling the Ole Miss defense, you can't just sit back on me. Keeping them honest. Hey, like, if you're gonna play that deep at the bases or behind, then I might just drop one. Keeping them honest and hopefully opening up some defensive holes.
Started her career at Longwood and actually teammates with Jaden Pone out in left field for Ole Miss when they were both at Longwood. It's interesting, all those stories that develop with the portal now and former teammates facing off against each other in certain respects. As Vincent strikes out, got caught looking, and a good pitch from Lopez.
Brianna Lopez, this is one of the pitches she's known for, that slow, dirty changeup, right at the knees, right in the zone. I think Lexi Brady knew it was a strike before our umpire called it. Good execution there by both Brianna Lopez and Lexi Brady behind the plate.
It's back to the top of the order. Quincy Lelio, 3 for 6 this weekend. Line out the shortstop, her first plate appearance today here in game 3. And the 0-1 upstairs. Can you imagine if the portal existed when you were at Tennessee?
No, no. I can't imagine the state of the NCAA right now with all the transfers and the NIL and all the fun things happening, and it's exciting. It's fun to talk about, it's fun to discuss, and it's fun to see, I think, the after effects of really impacting the women's sports game. I think we are seeing it in a positive light, especially in the sport of softball, as these girls get more recognition and opportunity for the skills that they have.
Now, the ratings over the course of, let's say, the last 5 years certainly indicate that. And honestly, ESPN's commitment to the sport has been tremendous, and people have watched and started to understand the stories with these players and how they've developed their skill set and their personalities with NIL away from the field.
Yes, I think it's starting to create name recognition in these athletes, and it's fun to follow a school. You have a built-in fan base, but when you also have fans of a certain player, it brings new fans to the sport. And just ESPN really committing over 3,200 games on ESPN platforms this year in softball alone. So it's just great to see how much it's grown, but also the potential and opportunity of where it's going to go.
Payoff pitch, and Lelio stays alive. Yeah, the potential, and let's just look at the rest of the decade. You talk about in the Southeastern Conference in particular. I mean, you've got some years where every team in the league makes the NCAA tournament. And that's not going away. The commitment, the fan support, the interest. Lelio strikes out. That's a rarity, and Lopez back-to-back strikeouts here to begin home half of the second.
So I feel like at this point I should probably say Brianna Lopez again with that changeup. This time she drops it low. Quincy Lelio just can't hang on to try to foul that off. Again, that changeup is just so extra slow, and she just does such a good job, not only with the speed differential, but the location, right? And knowing when to put it in the zone and when to make sure it's a ball. Excellent pitch by Brianna Lopez.
Here's Ariana Rhodey. Singled and scored back in the first inning. 2-0. Ariana, like her head coach, came to Columbia from Charlotte. Mentioned it yesterday. Won a couple of state championships on the ice in Rhode Island. Played hockey. 2 balls and a strike. And her toughness, You really can't question it. She broke her nose against Georgia. Actually finished playing that weekend with the broken nose, and then ended up missing a couple of games midweek towards the next weekend. Recovered a little bit, and then right back in there.
Yeah, I don't know if I would be playing. I don't think I'm as tough as her. I don't know if I would still be playing if I had a broken nose, but
that has to hurt.
Yeah, right.
A lot of pain.
That has to hurt.
I don't want to ever experience that. Yeah. Rhodey hitting .368. Strong 4 walks this year. Over to short, and Ryan Starr is there. 1-2-3 home half of the second, 4-1. Top of the third coming up. You're watching SEC Softball presented by T-Mobile 5G Home Internet. Carolina Softball Stadium on a Sunday afternoon. And a reminder, coming up tomorrow, 4th-ranked Texas A&M, number 16 Georgia, wrap up their big 3-game series over in Athens at Turner Softball Stadium. Coverage starts at 6 Eastern right here on the SEC Network and the ESPN app. Aggies took both games on Saturday, 8-0 and 6, and then 12-5 in the second matchup. And well, nothing but bad weather over in that direction today. Taylor Malvin lead things off for Ole Miss, batting 9th this afternoon. Monica Abbott, Roy Philpott, Malvin the junior out of Johns Creek, Georgia. Seen her in that leadoff spot at times, and now batting 9th his last 2 games in Columbia.
Yeah, Taylor Malvin, the slapper. Obviously very good speed if you're slapping, right? And just trying to set up that top of the lineup. Ole Miss has 7+ hitters that are hitting 300, over 300. So finding a way to just get people on base and who's going to get that hit today is really the question for Ole Miss's offense.
0-2. Jaden Pone in the on-deck circle. She has been electric this weekend and really the forefront of every Ole Miss rally. Outfield will shift for Carolina. Plenty of real estate over on the right field line. And Monica, you were talking about this pregame and number of different shifts we've seen in the way both of these teams have played each other this weekend, and there you see it clearly.
Yeah, South Carolina has played a lot of different defensive shifts. Taylor Malvin, a slapper, most of the time they're trying to hit the ball away, so it makes sense to move your right fielder over and then pitcher on the outside corner just like that. Jory Hurd with the strikeout, looking on the 4-seam fastball, low and away.
First strikeout for Hurd.
Here's Jory, after a bunch of foul balls, able to not only hit that outside corner, but allow the ball to continue to travel deep into the catcher's box.
The appeal down to third base umpire Lyndon Baptiste, recording Hurd's first strikeout. It's back to the top of the order, and Jaden Pone. Well, how much fun has she been to watch this weekend in left field? And it really all goes back to last weekend, their series victory against Missouri. Had a season high 3 hits over the course the weekend in Oxford, and then has really taken off in Columbia.
Yeah, Jaden Pone's been getting hot at the right time, right in the middle of SEC play here. And sometimes not necessarily doing anything too flashy, but she's someone you can count on in the outfield. She'll make the diving catch, but she plays the ball off the wall well. She plays the ball in front well. And then just having good at-bats. Sometimes it's not about having, hitting a home run or hitting a double all the time, although she did lead off the game with a double. But it's working the count, going deep in counts, having hard hits, and getting more pitches.
Flare towards center field, and Shelton stabs it out of the air cleanly. And now 6 in a row retired by Hurd.
Looks like it's a bloop falling into no man's land, but Carly Shelton, she keeps running. She doesn't stop running. She gets her glove extended and is able to make a great play in a Bermuda triangle out there between short, second, and center field.
Here's Butte, drove in a run with a double. Lone run of the game so far for the Ole Miss Rebels in the first inning. Came into the weekend as the leading hitter for Ole Miss. Now 1 for 7 in these first 2 games before that first inning double. It's her 7th of the season.
Lara Butte, right before she stepped into the box, you could see her kind of checking out the defensive positioning. Look at that big gap in center field. The right fielder playing in the right center gap, and she has a big gap down the line. You can see as a hitter, okay, what does that mean? What am I looking for? I'm trying to look for something inside so that I can pull it down the line.
How about straightaway center? That'll drop and get all the way down to the wall. Butte, a 2-out double for the Rebels. And she's now a perfect 2 for 2. Well, she hit it where the Gamecock center fielder Quincy Lelio wasn't.
Yeah, just a great job by Lara Butte. I mentioned it before. She took a little sneak peek at where the defense was playing her, and just great maturity in an at-bat there, being able to hit it where they're not with the bat control for her second double of the day.
The Ole Miss offense starting to come to life after a bit of a slow start. Shutout Friday night. 2 runs yesterday in the victory, and already a run on the board with another one in scoring position. And you see what's happened here the last 7 frames. You said you thought that this would shift at some point. We kind of thought maybe it would be yesterday in game 2. Didn't happen. It started to feel that way here in game 3.
Yeah, both of these teams have such dynamic offenses. At times, I would say they even lead more with their offenses. They both have some really powerful hitters, and Lexi Brady and Ariana Rhodey. But for the most part, in game 1 and 2, the offenses were stifled a little bit. They were quiet. So I knew it was just a matter of time before the offenses figured it out a little bit and got a little bit too tired of getting out and not getting hits.
In your mind, what would be the conversation with Ashley Chastain Woodard and Jory Hurd?
I think at this point, just reminding Jory that, hey, we have a 4-1 lead here. There's 2 outs. No need to worry about the double that was just given up. Focus on this next hitter. We want you to go after Aaliyah Binford here. And not let some of the hitters that she's faced, like Percy Yamas.
Binford pops it up into shallow left field. An easy play for Blankenship, and Hurd escapes. 3 innings in the books. Check that bottom of the 3rd coming up. It's 4-1. South Carolina pitcher, top 15 all-time in relief appearances, 2009 to 2011. Now the head coach at her alma mater, a former pitching coach against this weekend's opponent in Ole Miss. 2 years in Oxford. Really enjoyed her time there before she took over as the head coach at Charlotte. A tremendous job in the Queen City. Now back in Columbia, a dream come true to be the head coach at a program in which you starred for all of those seasons between 2009 and 2011.
Yeah, Ashley Chastain Woodard, what a great opportunity to be a head coach at your alma mater. There's not many in the SEC that we see with this, but more and more coaches, we're seeing players being hired, former alumni being hired. It just brings a great momentum and knowledge and pride to that program.
Asked her the question last week before this series began. Where were you when Ray Tanner called? She was the head coach at Charlotte at the time. Season ends. Coaching change is going to be made here in Columbia. She said, I was actually sitting in our house with my husband, who of course is the head baseball coach with the Charlotte 49ers. Ray Tanner calls and she hangs up the phone, and all of a sudden the wheels are in motion. A big decision to be made, because think about it. You're married to the baseball coach or the softball coach of the same school. You want to go back and coach your alma mater, but it's not something that is just a slam dunk right away. How do we do this? How do we navigate? Well, it involves a lot of trips back and forth on Interstate 77. And these two schools separated by about 90 minutes. So quite familiar there. Shelton belts one high off the wall. And a leadoff double for Carly Shelton. Not sure how the ballpark held that one. Was a laser beam right underneath the scoreboard.
Carly Shelton, what a great job here. Looks for that curveball that's tailing up a little bit. Gets her foot down. She doesn't try to pull this ball. And just does a great job. But this field a little unforgiving on the home run today when she legs out a double.
14th double of the season. The second baseman Carly Shelton. Gamecocks in business. Abigail Knight a big cut. I mean, that's the second shot we've seen off the top of the wall. Lexi Winters gave one a ride with the bases juice back in the first. And it was right off that red line at the very top of the fence back there. Same thing for Carly Shelton.
After the big double, there you see Brianna Lopez going to her changeup again. Sometimes when you have a changeup pitcher on the mound, the first thing that you want to say is, okay, we need to get people on base to help eliminate the changeup. Coach Traxel out here to talk to her defense. And I think just stress the importance of trying to keep this at a 4-1 game. It's just the bottom of the third, still a lot of time left. But you don't want to see South Carolina run away with this game.
Monica, you look at all the SEC statistics that are compiled on a daily basis this time of year. Team ERA, strikeouts, hitting percentages, power numbers. You see Abigail Knight, and it's a ball and a strike. South Carolina doesn't really stand out in any particular category until you start to look at some of the defensive numbers. Second the SEC in fielding percentage, and you watch them. They don't make a lot of mistakes, and their discipline at the plate, to me, has been impressive in watching these last two games. What are your thoughts on what makes South Carolina so good?
Yeah, I would definitely say the plate discipline.
And as we say that, Knight strikes out.
I would say the plate discipline for South Carolina is the big difference here, and just straight up defense. I think playing in the SEC, you have to be good at three things. You got to be good at hitting, you got to be good at defense, and you got to be good at pitching. So everyone in the SEC has a solid pitching staff. The question is which to win, you have to have two of those three. Okay, are you going to be good at defense and hitting, which I think South Carolina, that's where they're really good? Are you going to be good at hitting and pitching? I think that's where Ole Miss really is very good. But the teams that have all three, the hitting, defense, and pitching, that's where you see the OUs, the Texas, the Tennessees, the Floridas, who are at the top of the league.
And the top of the country.
And top of the country, absolutely. But when either of these, on any given day in the softball world, South Carolina, we've seen great moments from them putting all three of those aspects of the game together. Same with Ole Miss. This is why they have had a turnaround year this year. At times, they've done all three really, really well, but it's finding that consistency.
Chansey pops out to Pickens at second. And after the leadoff double, back-to-back outs recorded by Lopez. And for Jamie Traxel, that's got to be pleasing, trying to get her team back in this.
Yeah, this is a really good job by Brianna Lopez. After the leadoff double, trying to stifle the momentum of the South Carolina offense and sticking to what she's good at. She's using that changeup effectively to them. making sure her backdoor curve and her curveball aren't floating high or staying middle, which is where she's given up those hits. But it's so important for Brianna Lopez to keep them in the game right now.
Here's Winters. Hit that double, smacked it off the very top of the left field wall on her first AB. Brianna Lopez settling things down in the circle. Big moment in this game 3. We're in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Lopez outside. You know, both of these teams coming off of conference series victories last weekend. South Carolina made a little bit of history. Their first series win in Baton Rouge since way back in 1997.
Yeah, a lot of firsts.
Ole Miss defeated Missouri, taking 2 out of 3. Fly ball to right, Boute's underneath. And the leadoff double stranded at second. That was Shelton. Coming up, Jamie Traxel, head coach of the Rebels, joins us. We'll get her take on her team's start. Top of the 4th inning, 4-1 ball game with Monica Abbott, Roy Philpott, joined by the head coach at Ole Miss, year 5. And it'll be 4, 5, and 6 due up first.
Yeah, I like what she said about the offense. Just Ole Miss offense, they came out swinging the bat hard, very aggressive, a lot of line drives. But in the last 2 innings, just a little bit more weak fly balls.
Yamas off of 2 hops to Shelton at second, and 1 pitch, 1 away.
So it's time to make an adjustment for the Ole Miss offense and try to figure out Jory Hurd again.
We've seen Jory in all 3 games this weekend. Got the win on Friday night with just 1 toss on a flyout. Gamecocks won it home half of the 8th inning, 1-0 home. 4 consecutive walks by Wichenio.
Nice pick there by Lexi Winters behind the plate.
And Lexi Brady sends that one a mile. And it's off the brick. The building located down the left field line in foul territory. That shows you a little bit about her power. She's turned on it a bit too quickly.
Yeah, she's 12 home runs on the season. She's chasing the Ole Miss home run record of 15.
As a pitcher, when you see that kind of power on the previous pitch, and you saw Hurd come back outer half and tailing away, your mentality perhaps a little bit different than a normal sequence, right?
Oh, absolutely. I love the big, deep foul ball, fly ball, and then the combination coming back with the changeup on the outside corner. I mean, that's just great sequencing by Jory Hurd and great execution as well.
Winters tried to frame up that next changeup that was just off the plate. And now a full count.
Now it gets difficult because you've thrown 3 pitches on the outside corner. Do you come back inside? And that's where these big sluggers have their power.
Brady sends it foul. Again, I mentioned it yesterday. I hear the pride in your voice when you watch a pitch, and it's almost like, yeah, that's probably what I would have done at Tennessee.
Yeah, just the execution piece. When I see pitchers execute pitches or combinations of pitches, it's just so fun to see them do that, because I know how hard it is to do and how much work it takes and the consistency it takes to pull that out on command.
Not easy. For Hopper, over to Shelton again. Up for the challenge. Back-to-back groundouts to second base. You know, Jory Hurd cruising right along in the circle for South Carolina. And her infield behind her has been tremendous all weekend long, and really all season long in Columbia. Here's Mackenzie Pickens, and Hurd in full control here in the 4th. Pickens out in front. This weekend has had a postseason feel to it, given the close nature of those first two games. And really, both contests came down to single at-bats, if you will. Some great defensive plays. We mentioned briefly yesterday, Blair Butte in right field throwing out Quincy Lelio at home plate back in game one, in a game that was scoreless entering extra innings. Yesterday was 2-1. And winning run was scored in the top of the seventh by Ole Miss.
You know, Jory Hurd has that four-seam fastball on the inside, but she throws so many pitches outside. She likes that changeup out. She likes her two-seam fastball, commonly mistaken as a curveball on that outside corner. And I think that we see South Carolina's defense, especially Carly Shelton over at second base. She tends to slide up the middle a little bit early in the count, taking away that pitch up the middle. You've seen her field 2 ground balls in this inning already, but taking that range.
It's sharply in the gap, and a one-hop that is stopped by Lelio. And that was a nice play just to stop the momentum of that softball there.
Yeah, Quincy Lelio has probably held her breath a little bit on that one.
So the inning continues with Pickens now at first base on the single. Her third hit of the weekend.
Here's Quincy Lelio trying to lay out, but she's a little late on it. Good thing her glove was behind her body and prevents that ball getting to the wall. Little short hop into the glove on the dive.
Here's DeLeon. First pitch strike. Angelina searching for her first hit this weekend. Valley Springs, California, and her third home run of the year last weekend against Mizzou. Really has been a dependable 4-year starter for the Rebels. 0-2. Leads the team in returning starts, going back to the beginning portion of this campaign. Pickens over at first base in a 4-1 game, and DeLeon stays alive. Ashley Chastain Woodard in the South Carolina dugout. Her first season. What an incredible run Carolina's been on. Georgia native that went to school here, had connections to the university that really she didn't understand at the time.
Yeah, it's fun to have those connections that kind of help you commit to a college and then even come back as the coach. She said her
popped up center field right beside the logo. Easy play for Lelio. And the head coach of Carolina, Ashley Chastain Woodard, going to join us coming up next. Get her thoughts. Former standout in the circle.
Yeah, I think she's right. She is right on target when she says a pitcher loves it when you give up a run and you come back and your team supports you and puts up a 4 spot. It makes you feel a little bit more confident and it helps you pitch a little bit freer, execute a little bit more, and take the stress of a tight ball game off your back.
Brooke Blankenship will lead things off against Brianna Lopez, and Blankenship has put together quite a weekend in more ways than one. Had the single down the right field line to provide this 4-1 advantage back in the first inning. And boy, some plays over at shortstop that have been absolutely tremendous.
Yeah, we've seen quite a few really good plays from Brooke Blankenship over at shortstop. One a little bit going viral on social media right now with a play in the hole.
That one is swatted foul.
Let's take a look at it.
Incredible play. Deep in the hole, then off the 1 foot, the hop and the strike. Tremendous. She's not done yet. We've seen it now twice. against Ole Miss.
You know what gets me is the hop, right? She's got some air. She's able to really get up in the air a little bit.
The opposite field again. Boutte. Foul territory is going to make the play. 1 up, 1 down for Carolina.
Just really fun plays defensively from Brooke Blankenship to see just the hops that she has, and then being able to contort her body to make a good throw after that with some power on it over to first base.
Natalie Heath hitting 8th for Coach Chastain Woodard. Lexi Brady tried to frame that one. Did not get the call. And it's 1-0. Inner half and a called strike.
Yeah, nice curveball there by Brianna Lopez. Sometimes throwing that curveball inside to righties can be a little bit difficult on placement.
Heath, a multi-sport standout going back to her days at Northgate High School. Lettered in basketball, soccer. And Monica, she was the county shot put champion as well.
Now that's something you don't hear every day. Shot put thrower.
Missed most of 22 with an injury. Didn't play in 2023. And then now more instrumental this season, just a shade under 300. He does have those 6 home runs. Wind continues to blow towards right field line. Excuse me, swing. And a full count. Fly ball, deep right field. Boutte, foul territory again. With a second out. Well, coming up Friday, we'll have a spring football preview show. The SEC Now crew will take a look at all 16 schools in this 2-hour spectacular. Coverage starts at 1 Eastern right here on the SEC Network. You know, it's different this year. Here in the Deep South and in the league, you're not seeing as many spring games, and coaches are getting away from having those contests televised and more of a skills competition. And Shane Beamer here in Columbia, what an incredible job he's done. Lenora Sellers is back. He's been involved in the softball program as Pone catches a line drive to end the frame. 4 innings down, top of the 5th coming up. It is 4-1 Gamecocks. Back here in Columbia, SC, Game 3. Ole Miss got off to a pretty good start. Jaden Pone, a hard hit ball, bounced off the wall. And that helped bring in the first Ole Miss run of the afternoon. Then here comes Carolina. Lexi Winters off the very top of the left field fence. Made it a 2-1 game. Here we are at 4-1 after Blankenship brought in 2 with a single to right field, Monica.
Yeah, it's been an exciting game so far, 4-1. Jory Hurd here has started to settle in a little bit more since that first inning. She's got a nice run cushion.
And Brianna Lopez has also settled in. She's retired her last 6 South Carolina batters.
Yeah.
Rebels back up. Rachel Connors will lead things off, trying to provide a spark for head coach Jamie Traxel. And Connors, a freshman from Chandler, Arizona. 2 for 6 this season. Wind continues to blow in at Carolina Softball Stadium.
Jory Hurd going right at this pinch hitter, Rachel Connors, getting ahead early, 0-2. She's retired 12 of the last 14 hitters and make that 13 of the last 15 hitters. Since the first inning, she has just settled in and really using both sides of the plate really well.
Second strikeout here in game 3 between Ole Miss and South Carolina for Jory Hurd. And that brings us to Taylor Malvin. Malvin over to second. Shelton has been incredible at her spot this weekend. And again, South Carolina is just not a defense. It's not a team. It's going to make a mistake and give up unearned runs.
Yeah, defense has been solid all the way around. They make the routine play, and when you make all these routine plays over and over, then you get that Brooke Blankenship flashy play every now and then. It just makes a fun defense to watch. And they have the pitchers that aren't necessarily going to strike out a lot of hitters. They might get 5 strikeouts a game, 6 strikeouts a game. But Jory Hurd and Sam Grass, who are their main 2 arms, both of them really get a lot of ground balls. They get a lot of fly balls. That is how they're getting their outs.
Lexi Winters into the circle. Brief conversation. I'll give you one quick update down in Tampa and the national championship women's basketball. UConn and South Carolina. And the Huskies currently with a 13-point advantage in the third quarter over on ABC. And Dawn Staley's team a little bit of work to do. Pone straightaway center to Lelio. And a quick 1-2-3 frame. Gamecocks coming back up to bat, leading 4-1.
SEC Softball is presented by T-Mobile 5G Home Internet.
Well, our very own Monica Abbott talking to this South Carolina softball program pregame. I know you were coming back up to the booth, and Coach Chastain Woodard said, hey, stop by and just say a few words. I don't know what was said, but what was said out of curiosity?
I had such a long career. I played obviously at Tennessee in the SEC, and then I also had a long professional career. So people, all these athletes at some point probably watched me play, or if not, follow on social media. And it's fun to be recognized by someone as a name in this sport, a game changer in this sport. And Coach Ashley Chastain Woodard just didn't want me to leave South Carolina without the opportunity for her team to be able to meet me and say hello, and just spreading some good words of confidence to them and some love and passion for the game of softball and just the opportunities that they have as collegiate athletes on where they are now and where they can potentially go.
If you follow the sport, and many of us have, go back to your final year in Knoxville. We talked about the number yesterday, and I indicated for a moment, I feel like that should be a part of like every password that you have. Monica Abbott, 724 strikeouts.
Yeah.
Not in a career, not over the course of 2 or 3 seasons. In one campaign, 724.
Should I test you on the career strikeout number there?
Well, I know that there were 4 straight seasons of over 500. There were a large number of no-hitters thrown in your final season in Knoxville, and perfect games. So to suggest that you know a thing or two about what it's like in the circle would be a vast understatement. So I'm hoping that some of these coaches, when you're calling these games, are getting you to talk to the teams and the programs about what it's like and what your mentality was. Lelio draws the leadoff walk here.
Yeah, a lot of the coaches, I go down there and just say hello. I know almost everyone that is coaching, and just being able to talk to them a little bit about the game, some intricacies, some strategy, and how to get the level of play up, right? I think that is the challenge. And sometimes when the difference between college and pro is that game knowledge, that game sense, and being able to anticipate things like pitching changes, anticipate when to do that, and when a hitter is getting hot or not getting hot, and just being able to have just that repertoire between coaching staffs and the experience that I've had on the softball field. And of course, whenever I go down there, all the pitchers, I can see their eyes getting big and like, oh my gosh, that's Monica Abbott.
Line drive over to third and played beautifully by De Leon. One away, Lelio remains at first base. If you don't mind me asking, what is the level of confidence one has when you have that many strikeouts and that many perfect games and that many no-hitters in a single year? What was that like?
Yeah, I think so many times we see seniors have these career years, and I definitely had one my senior year.
Through the hole into left field, and Gamecocks now with runners at first and second.
And I think the biggest thing for me that I learned while at Tennessee, and I often was stubborn early in my career and stubborn to change, is I learned that I had to make adjustments on who I was as a pitcher and not be afraid to change or evolve and grow. In my senior year, I was able to take a very good rise ball that was giving me 500 plus strikeouts. There was no reason to change it, but I took my rise ball and figured out how to throw it more for a strike and created this low rise situation that separated zones and made different pitches. I had a low rise, I had a high rise, and a through the zone rise, and because of that, my strikeout numbers, multiplied.
After they were already jarring when you look at them for the first time years later, like I did just a couple of days ago. Abigail Knight, the hitter, and it's 2-0. Lelio at second base, Rhodey at first, and Ari Rhodey has enjoyed quite a game 3 with 2 hits. She's been on base a bunch this weekend, 4 free passes before this Sunday afternoon. Golf to left field, Pone tracking in front of the track and an easy play, tagging Lelio. And she will slide in safely at third base, and so runners at the corners now with 1 away, home half of the 5th inning. So the ability to adjust in the circle, maybe not as intuitive for an emerging talent in the collegiate ranks, and you got to fight through it sometimes to force yourself to make those changes to take that next step.
Yeah, I think when you come in as a freshman, there's so many things that you have to adjust to. You have to adjust to new coaches, new language, new information and data, how to apply. But as you go through your 4 years, you start to understand who you are as a pitcher, what makes you successful, and you also realize the intention of a pitch. Okay, why is this pitch being called on a 0-1? Why am I throwing a changeup on an 0-1? Why am I throwing a curveball on an 0-1? And where does that have to be placed?
Taking second will be Rhodey, and she'll steal second without a toss.
And I think when pitchers understand that intention and are able to stay present within the moment of each pitch, that's when we see better execution, not only on individual pitches, but execution on big strikeouts in a game.
2 in scoring position. That's right off the elbow of Chansey. And it was Shelton that stole second. Rhodey now at third. Bases are loaded for Carolina.
Well, Brianna Lopez trying to come inside on that curveball while she's ahead, but just runs in too much on her. Ella Chansey, not much she can do there, but just take the hit by pitch. With 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th right now, this is the longest Brianna Lopez has gone without a run being scored off of her this year. And now she's looking to find that third out. I think it was a smart call by Lexi Brady, just going out there, reminding her, hey, it's okay, we got the bases loaded. No big deal. We have 2 outs. Settle her back down to try to focus on this next hitter so Ole Miss can get out of this inning. Nice pitch there by Brianna Lopez, a little backdoor curve.
Lelio at third base, Shelton at second, Chansey at first for South Carolina. Here's Lexi Winters. And a 2-run double off the top of the left field wall. way back in the first inning.
Yeah, Lexi Winters has been having a good day at the plate. Her bat has really sent a spark for South Carolina.
Fly ball right center. And over there to make the grab is Malvin to retire the scoring threat. 5 innings in the book, still 4-1. Ole Miss back up to bat. You're watching SEC Softball, presented by T-Mobile 5G Home Internet here in Columbia. 5 innings down. Take a look at the SEC storylines. Go around the conference. You know about the very top of the league. 1 through 5. SEC's got 4 of those spots. How about Arkansas? They take the series against the Gators there, Monica.
Yeah, it's been a fun series down in Florida, but Arkansas kind of off to a slow start in the year, but wow, have they turned it around
in a very big way. And then Tennessee winning their series against Mississippi State. Emerging story back at Carolina Softball Stadium. Jory Hurd, Illinois native in the circle, has gone the distance after picking up that Game 1 victory. This is the rubber match between these two. Monica Abbott, Roy Philpott. Lair Butte will lead things off.
Yeah, Jory Hurd has just done an excellent job so far this game. A little like, I would almost say a little first inning nerves, a little first inning overexcitement. She gives up 1 run, but since then, not only has her offense picked up, put a 4 spot on the board, but really able to start rolling.
Butte puts down the bunt. Chansey up with it. First time Butte's been retired today. Well, coming up tonight, the SEC Down team will have a complete wrap-up of the Women's National Championship matchup between South Carolina and UConn. It's live from Tampa over on ABC right now. Plus, look ahead at tomorrow's Men's National Championship between the Gators and the Houston Cougars. Coverage starts 7 Eastern today. Aaliyah Benford, and a first pitch strike to her from Hurd. I admit I was trying to stay up last night to watch the end of the Duke-Houston game. I fell asleep. I woke up. Duke was winning 59-51 with about 7 minutes left. Fell right back asleep thinking, okay, it's going to be Duke-Florida. What a championship game this is going to be. Woke up at 4 a.m., checked social media. Kelvin Sampson celebrating, and to my surprise, it is Houston that came back to win to face the Gators. And we'll see what that looks like between Florida and Houston for the title tomorrow night on the men's side. And meanwhile, on the women's side, we do give you permission if you come back to us right away. ABC, South Carolina, UConn right now. Benford sends that into the netting, and it's 2-2. Right now, UConn with the lead at the end of the third quarter, 59-40 over South Carolina.
Yeah, Leah Benford putting up a good battle here against Jory Hurd.
Big cut. Fouls it straight back for Aaliyah Benford.
Another foul ball from Aaliyah Benford. In her first 2 at-bats, she didn't see a lot of pitches, so this is her longest at-bat thus far. I think that shows some adjustments, trying to figure out what she needs to do to get a hit off of Jory Hurd, who's been kind of in a rhythm. Getting a lot of people out, throwing both sides of the plate, and mixing speeds really well. There you see a changeup that she missed to take it to a 3-2 count.
Benford, the D1 softball comeback player of the year. Two-way standout sharply to Chansey. He wastes no time for out number 2.
Ella Chansey busy over there making the first 2 outs of the game. First on the sneaky bunt from Lair Butte, and then on the hard ground ball from Aaliyah Benford.
Now Chansey, first team all AAC in her time at Charlotte. And again, this South Carolina team just solid.
Yeah, they're just solid all the way around. I think we talked about it. There's not really someone on the South Carolina team that is, #1 in home runs in the SEC, #1 in batting average, #1 in this, #1 in that. But they play so well together. And at the end of the day, softball is a team sport. So the cohesiveness of the team does make a difference. And they have some really good athletes on their team that are performing really well in the top 10 and then the top 15 statistically. But overall, I think the thing that's sticking out for me for South Carolina is how they are able to play as a team.
Llamas down the right field line to the wall there in the corner. And a stand-up 2-out double for Percy Llamas. Second hit of the weekend, now 1 for 3 today.
Really good piece of hitting by Percy Llamas. Just a little bit too much over the plate. She gets her front foot down and really able to lay into that pitch. Stand-up double for Percy Llamas.
Her 7th of the season. And Ole Miss with a runner in scoring position. And Ashley Chastain-Woodard out of the Gamecock dugout. We'll talk things over with first base umpire Jacob Agee for a moment. And let's see what's happening here. That'll prompt the conversation in between the circle and the first baseline. And Lyndon Baptiste, Chelsea Clark, Jacob Agee all converging, and now back towards the South Carolina dugout.
I'm not sure what that conversation could have been about. My first thought is almost, did Percy Llamas miss
first base?
But there seems to me like no way, Monica. That's a dumb thought, but that's the only thing that I can think of.
She did touch the bag on the turn.
Oh, there she is. She did turn. So she did hit the base. Okay, so that was not it. But here's Coach Ashley Chastain-Woodard talking to Jory a little bit. I think this is, again, just a settle down moment. We're starting to get late in the game. We don't want to let an inning with 2 outs and a double in the heart of the lineup get out of hand here. We're still up 3 runs. Be smart, but let's go get Lexi Brady. Sam Gress is on standby if we need her in short relief.
And let's see. They are going to make the call to the bullpen. And she just raced to the dugout instead. So Gress into the Carolina dugout, and that was a bit of a moment after a lengthy delay. Lexi Brady, in that conversation with Brady and her power, one swing can make this a 1-run game.
Yeah, and I think that's where Jory is, you got to be confident, right? I think this is actually a really good matchup when you look at it, because Jory throws such an effective 2-seam on the outside corner. I think Lexi Brady's swing lines up for that middle and inside pitch, because her power is more to that left field, left center field area. Now, Lexi Brady does have the ability to go opposite field. We've seen that, but not being scared to throw inside, but going inside smart. You see Jory Hurd go up and in there, trying to stand up Lexi Brady so that she can go back to that 2-seam and create that angle of separation between pitches. Lexi Brady, as well as she's hitting this year, she's been a little quiet this series.
1 for 8 before this at bat. On the inside corner, it's 2-2. Hurd versus Brady. And a good take. Too far inside.
A really good take, a really good pitch for a 2-2 count. I think a little bit just too far inside, maybe a little bit low as well, but you can feel the tension in the air in this battle.
And Brady head down to first base, and that'll bring the tying run up.
Jory just trying to go inside to Lexi Brady to follow up with that off-speed pitch with something a little bit faster. Just got her right there in the arm guard.
And we will see if the pitching change is set to come now. It appears Ashley Chastain-Woodard considering that very option out of the Gamecock dugout. Well, the way we saw Gress make the move a few moments ago before Brady dug in, looked like she was ready at that point and officially ready to go now. Hurd to Gress as we step aside. A big moment in Columbia when we return. Now, the bulk of the damage given up by Jory Hurd coming in our first inning today until here in the top of the sixth, Monica. The last two reach for Ole Miss, but an efficient start for Jory Hurd.
Yeah, I think a really good day on the mound for Jory Hurd. She's thrown a lot of innings this year, as Coach Chastain-Woodard mentioned to me earlier today, is that she's thrown a lot of innings early, and so they're trying to get Sam Gress more innings to kind of catch up to Jory Hurd. But Jory Hurd, nothing to hang your hat on. Really good day. At times she rolled through this game, and that's why I said at the open, they're just a dynamic duo. Sam Gress and Jory Hurd, they complement each other in their separate pitches really, really well. It makes it hard for offenses to get comfortable, and we often see both of them in the game for South Carolina.
Sam Gress, her sixth season out of Pennsylvania. And a pressure-packed moment. Mackenzie Pickens, the second baseman. 3 hits so far in Columbia, including a knocker last time up. She represents the tying run here. The top of the sixth inning, off speed and strike one.
Yeah, and you'll see a lot of that from Sam Gress. She throws 3 different speeds. Lower bottom half of the zone is going to be low 60s. Her rise upper half of the zone can hit up to mid 60s.
Flare into right field. That's going to drop for a base hit. Knight unable to corral it cleanly. 1 run is in for the Rebels, and it's 4-2. Well, I don't know that she could have placed that ball any better in shallow right field, right on the edge of the grass.
Yeah, and when you have Carly Shelton playing up the middle, it creates that hole on the opposite field. Just kind of a flare right in no man's land. Not much to do. Abigail Knight didn't come up with it cleanly, but it doesn't hurt them. South Carolina defense able to still split the runners at first and third.
Ole Miss in business. Tying run standing at first base. Taylor Roman will be the pinch hitter, the senior from Missouri City, Texas. Hitting .250 this season, a home run and a big cut that goes foul.
Yeah, I like to see the aggressiveness of Taylor Roman coming off the bench. A first pitch swing. She's obviously in there as a power hitter. You have hitters in scoring position here. This is the moment that she lives for, and also the role that she's taken on for Ole Miss.
1-1 the count. Grisham, the pinch runner at third base. Pickens at first base for Ole Miss. Gresson out of the Gamecock bullpen.
Sam Gress trying to keep the ball low to Taylor Roman, not giving her anything up in the zone that she can drive, and just missing a little bit. It's just a little too low.
2 quick outs in this inning, and then Ole Miss has battled back to Chansey. Rebels add a run. It's 4-2. Home half of the 6th. Gamecocks in search of some insurance runs after this. That series, Monica Abbott, Roy Philpott, and South Carolina 4-2 lead. The 9th-ranked Gamecocks over 20th-ranked Ole Miss in this rubber match between these two.
Yeah, two programs and teams in the SEC that have been pleasant surprises this year. South Carolina off to a hot start, and then currently ranked number 10, the highest we've seen them ranked in quite some time. And then Ole Miss quietly off to just as good of a start, and currently ranked number 2021 in the national poll.
Blankenship's 1 for 2. That hit one of the biggest of this series back in the first inning, driving in 2 runs down the right field line. Hitting well over 500 in that leadoff spot this year to begin a frame. I do want to ask you, it took me probably 3 innings to figure this out. But you may hear a sound before Lopez or Wichenio came home with each and every pitch, and it's Lexi Brady. She will smack her glove right in the middle of the windup, if you will, in the circle. I don't recall hearing that anywhere else. Is that something that is common and maybe I just didn't pick up on it before?
I think it's really common for catchers to slap their glove as they get into their stance and ready position.
Blankenship, her second hit of the afternoon, and the leadoff batter aboard. Okay, so at that point it's common, but when we hear it today, is that something that's also normal, the timing of it?
You know, I would say Lexi Brady does it kind of late. A lot of catchers will slap their glove once the pitcher steps on the mound, and you know that you're both on the same page for the sign,
right.
And then it's like, okay, the slap of the glove, okay, we're ready to go here. Lexi Brady does it a little bit later in the sequencing, and it's more as she gets into her ready position, whether that's from a knee or from a squat.
To me, it's a distraction. If I'm stepping in trying to swing the bat, and I hear, and it's loud too. I mean, it's not something that is a soft sound. It's a loud sound, and it happens right as you're trying to get your focus on whatever pitch is coming towards home plate. It's just something I haven't noticed this year in any game that I've called. I didn't know if the timing of it was something that is normal, and we've got another pitching change, by the way.
Yeah, Aaliyah Binford came in yesterday, or was a starter yesterday. We see her coming into relief, especially since I think Ole Miss scored that run in the top of the 6th and cut the deficit in half, trying to make sure that they have a hold inning. South Carolina, with the leadoff hit, doesn't come around to score 1 extra run and gives Ole Miss a chance to tie or go ahead in the 5th. At least gives them an opportunity to try to win this ball game. You know, Leah Binford has been a little bit held back on the pitching innings this year because she is the D1 comeback kid. She has an injury. She had a previous injury from her knee, so she's not able to take as much of a full load in the pitching. So it's good to see her come back out in a closed position because they are going to need that. Ole Miss will need that as they move deeper into the SEC season and even into postseason play.
Leah Binford in the circle. Third Ole Miss pitcher that we have seen today in Game 3, and her scouting report.
Yeah, Leah Binford, she throws about 65 miles per hour, but the best thing about her is that she dominates the lower half of the zone. She doesn't really bring the ball up. She induces a lot of ground balls, and then she has a very fast pace. She wants to get her sign, and she wants to get moving on the mound. She's always ready to go. I think Coach Traxel mentioned that she's a little bit carefree. She doesn't let things bother her when she's on the mound. There you see the drop ball on the inside corner.
Natalie Heath 0 for 2. Gamecocks would love a tack on an insurance run or two. Head to the top of the 7th. Three 3-0 the count to Heath. And so if you're watching at home, the sound I was talking about, if you watch Lexi Brady, the Ole Miss catcher, closely, fist will go into the glove right before the throw home.
Yeah,
and she does it with the kind of force where it sounds like the ball is hitting the glove. And so the first couple of times it happened, I had this initial fear that I missed the pitch because I heard it.
Yeah, you see it's definitely a timing mechanism and a ready position for Lexi Brady, but she's slapping her glove so hard, I wonder if her fingers are getting numb.
And Heath aboard on the free pass. Gamecocks with runners at first and second. First two reach. No one out, and that'll bring up a pinch hitter. So a pinch hitter going to step in, and also a pinch runner for South Carolina. Ole Miss applying some pressure top half of this inning. Gamecocks responding. Emma Sellers will hit, the senior from Lakewood, California. And Nia McKnight, the pinch runner, over at first base. Sellers 300 this season. No homers and 6 driven in. We've seen her earlier in this series. Back to the circle. Binford over to first. The only play, the 1-3 sacrifice. It'll go 1-4 with Pickens covering over at first base. Gamecocks with 2 runners in scoring position.
Just a good job by Sellers, just laying down a sacrifice bunt here, a pinch hitter at bat for a sac bunt, but with no outs, runners on first and second base. This is really where you want to lay down a sac bunt, especially with no outs. It puts 2 runners in scoring position and gives you 2 opportunities to score them.
Infield takes a few paces in for the Rebels. To the top of the order, and Quincy Lelio. The runs have been hard to come by in this 3-game set. Nothing in 2. Lelio has been a very difficult out, despite that 0 for 2 scorecard today. 3 hits in the first 2 games. She's walked once today. Protective swing on the outer half. Gamecocks with big series coming up later this month against Alabama, Kentucky. Road trip up to Clemson, not this week, but next week. And Lelio seeing the ball well.
Yeah, Lilio, she does such a good job of finding her way on base, battling pitch to pitch. I think if there's one thing that I see from her, it's that she doesn't take a pitch off. She seems to have really good zone awareness and also of what she can hit and what she can't. She's not just going to go down in 3 pitches. Ouch.
Fouled that one right off of her leg.
Walk it off a little bit, and that does not feel good. I wasn't much of a hitter, but I did do that a couple times, and eventually that area on your ankle calcifies, but boy, does that not feel good. Quincy Lilio, I don't think she does that very much, so excellent placement on her pitches there by Aaliyah Binford as Lilio tries to again find her way on base.
Hot shot over to third, the dive to the bag for the double play. Daly on an incredible grab and the wherewithal to dive back towards third base to retire the side.
Wow, just an incredible play by De Leon at third base. The diving for the double play at third base.
Lineup, Brooke Blankenship followed that AB with a shot down the right field line. 2 more come home. And that has been everything the Gamecocks have needed for head coach Ashley Chastain Woodard. Those 4 runs and a 4-2 advantage. South Carolina perfect 11-0 this year when leading after 6. As Ashton Lansdell, pinch hitter, digs in for Ole Miss. Monica Abbott, Roy Philpott, Sam Gress, the pitcher in the circle for USC. Lansdell, the senior out of Marietta, Georgia. Big cut. It's 0-2.
Good job by Sam Gress, getting ahead early, getting 0-2 to Ashton Lansdale, a pinch hitter. Sam Gress hasn't been in the game long, but in there to pull off a close and finish this game.
The 0-2 is fouled straight back, and Lansdale right on top of it. Came around to score yesterday. That 2-1 Ole Miss victory. Gamecocks trying to close this series out. Wins in game 1 and 3 to take it over the Rebels. Ole Miss wants to make it interesting here. The 0-2 and a strikeout for Gress.
Great job by Sam Gress, getting ahead early, and then she goes in with that rise ball on the upper half of the zone, running in on Ashton Lansdale. Not much that she could do with that pitch. Sam Gress securing the first out.
Taylor Malvin 0 for 2 today, batting 9th. One hit in the first 2 games. At Johns Creek, Georgia. Rebels will love to get some kind of bloop and a blast or just anything to keep this game going. Got Jaden Pone in the on-deck circle. Great season, year 5 for Jamie Traxel. After last night's win, Ole Miss 29-8, 6-5 in the league. Every conference win so important here in April.
Yeah, April could be a tough part of the year in the SEC. The excitement of the start of the SEC season in March has kind of faded, and you're still a month away from postseason play. In some ways, you need more recovery, but it's really the dog days of who's going to withstand the everyday pressures of the SEC and the everyday battles. Every game, it seems like this year in the SEC has been really close. Every team has had a chance to win late in the game. And it's a matter of who's pulling it off and who's a little bit mentally tougher in the 5th, 6th, and 7th.
Gamecock outfield will shift. Play Malvin towards left. A lot of real estate in center field and down the right field line. To third and Chansey. Ole Miss down to its final out. And the Rebels will bring up Jaden Pone back to the top of the order.
Just a soft slap to Chansey over at third base, but Chansey charges it and comes across the field, getting rid of the ball quickly to get the speedy Taylor Malvin. 2 outs in the 7th.
Pone with 5 hits this weekend, 1 today. And hit softly to center right in front of Lelio. Big turn by Pone. That'll bring the tying run to the plate. What a weekend for Jaden Pone. 6 hits, 2 this afternoon. And most importantly, it'll keep the game alive for the Rebels and Lair Butte. And don't go anywhere just yet. We've seen some very tight finishes in these first 2 games.
Yeah, Lair Butte, 2 doubles in this game alone, and then a sneaky bunt that she was thrown out on, but she's been seeing the ball well today.
Outside for ball 1. Senior out of Riverside, California. She has hit the ball awfully hard. Butte 444 with runners on base this season. Now at 407 overall. She came into the weekend as the leading hitter for Ole Miss. Fly ball deep left, going back Vincent at the track, and she's there. Carolina wins it 4-2.
Lair Butte made it interesting, though. Sam Gress very excited to secure the win and secure the series victory.
Gamecocks take the series 2-1. All smiles for Ashley Chastain Woodard.